What's up guys, my name is Matthew and today I'm going to be talking about my 13 favorite thrillers. Alright, so if you know nothing about me and this is the first time you've ever been to my channel, my go-to genre is thrillers. I've been reading thrillers since I was about in 6th grade, I would say. Obviously, I've branched off into romance, literary fiction, horror, sci-fi. I read everything now, but I always return back to thrillers. So I thought I would make a video talking about my favorite thrillers in case you were looking for thrillers that you were interested in, or just to kind of get an idea of the kind of thrillers that I like. And before I get started, I'm aware that I'm wearing a creepy kitty t-shirt. Me and my best friend, we buy each other t-shirts that are super weird and awkward, and then we have to wear them out in public together. And trust me, this might sound weird, but take your person, whether it's your BFF, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, whoever your person is, get a weird t-shirt, walk in public, specifically an airport. Just trust me, do it. And the stares and the nods and as people looking at you is just so funny. Just trust me, just do it. And it is such a, what am I even talking about? Okay, now we're back to just talking about the books, but just trust me on that. So this is an order, I guess, but this is my order of the day. If I film this tomorrow, it might be a different order. I'm nervous about filming this because I'm sure I'm leaving off one of my favorite books of all times, but whatever, we're taking it as it comes and I can always make more videos, right? There's no pressure. So the first book, the first thriller on my list is Haus by PJ Vernon, and I actually did a whole reading vlog on it. It does contain spoilers, but I'll leave the link down below. And what I like about this one is that it's predominantly gay characters, and I would call this a gay thriller. I mean, I know that's not a thing, but you know what I'm saying, that this is following two gay guys, Oliver and Nathan. Oliver is a recovered drug addict, and Nathan is this successful Upper East Sider who has a lot of money. He's come from money. He's a doctor now. And Oliver goes to a bathhouse. If you don't know what a bathhouse, I did a terrible job explaining this in my original vlog, and I'm gonna do a terrible job explaining it now. But a bathhouse is a place, it's kind of like a gym, kind of like a sauna, but gay men go there and sometimes have sex. A lot of people walking around naked. Google it, you know, like, I don't know. I'm not good at explaining it, but that's kind of the gist. So Oliver goes there, goes and meets this guy, and the guy almost kills him, and he escapes, and then he feels like the guy is following him, and he's trying to get away from this guy. And that's really all you need to know about going into this book. I will say this book is fairly fast-paced. It does have its slow moments, but it really looks into relationships, gaslighting, and kind of, you know, societal dynamics, class dynamics, and I highly recommend this one. Just came out, check out the reading vlog, but if you're looking for a thriller with mostly gay characters revolving around gay relationships, definitely recommend Haus by PJ Vernon. If you know anything about me, you know that I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan. Agatha Christie is the reason I am here today, like not on Earth, but like, you know, talking about books. Anyway, Agatha Christie is the reason I'm here today because in grammar school, if you read on my newbie tag, I read an Agatha Christie book, fell in love, blah, blah, blah. I'm not gonna bore you with that. The book I'm gonna recommend is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Is that my favorite Agatha Christie book? I don't know. But it's the Agatha Christie book you should probably start with because it's the most famous and it just has one of those great twists. And every book you read today steals plot devices and thriller twists from Agatha Christie. The person I think that's modern who most resembles Agatha Christie, and this is a big compliment to her, is Lucy Foley, you know, The Guest List, The Hunting Party, because Lucy Foley does a good job at the closed room mystery, and Agatha Christie is all about, is that how you say it, the closed room mystery? That's probably not the correct word. What I mean by that is it involves a set of characters and they're locked away somewhere, whether it be an old mansion or they're trapped somewhere because of a hurricane or a snowstorm. And then slowly people start getting killed off, and then you have to find out who done it. And then There Were None is the quintessential idea of that, where these 8, 10 strangers get invitation to go to this house, and when they go to the house, one by one, they start getting murdered off, and you have to figure out who does it. And the ending is so fun. The twist, it's just such a journey and such a fun, great way to delve into Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie is not for everyone. She wrote in the 1930s-ish, before and after. I'm not Wikipedia, Google it yourself. But, so sometimes, she's writing in a language that takes some time to get used to. I guess it's a classic. It's not like a classic like, Charles Dickens or something like that. But the wording's hard to get used to. So I understand how some people don't like Agatha Christie, but I really, really, really recommend And Then There Were None, especially if you're trying to get your feet wet with Agatha Christie, and if you're trying to see where we have come from with thrillers and mysteries. Okay, I'm gonna try to speed this up and not spend 10 minutes on each book, but Agatha Christie has a special place in my heart, so that's why it was so long. All right, the next book that I'm gonna talk about is Playing Nice by J.P. Delaney. This book made me so anxious, so angry, and so just like on the edge of my seat. It's about these two families, and they both have sons, and apparently the sons got swapped at birth on accident. And they did a DNA test, they found it out, and the families are learning about their new kid, and that's all you need to know. And they're trying to, they're spending time with their new child, but they want to hold on to the child they've raised their whole life. And a lot of the characters in this book are just struggling with, how do we do this? We've raised this one son, but our biological son is this other person. And it might not sound like I'm explaining it like a thriller, but trust me, it's a thriller. One of the dads is a raging sociopath who, he's one of my least favorite characters of all time. And this book was so good. I don't have a copy of it because I rented it from the library, but I highly recommend Playing Nice. And it's gonna really make you think, what would you do in this situation if the child you've been raising as your own is not actually your biological child, and you find out that your biological child is over there? What do you do? So definitely recommend this book. All right, the next book, I'm not gonna be like what numbers, I'm not gonna be able to keep track of numbers. But the next book is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. I read this one a few months ago. I'm gonna warn you, and I'm gonna tell you, this is not a spoiler in my opinion. This book is paranormal, and I'm so happy I knew this book was paranormal before I started, because I would've been freaking pissed if I go into this book thinking it's just like your regular, psychological thriller. But go into this book knowing it's a paranormal book. There's paranormal elements, let your disbelief go and have fun. I originally gave this a 4-star, but the last chapter of this book just blew my mind. So this book is about a woman who, goes to a bar, meets a guy, they kiss, and oh my God, this is amazing, I met a new guy. But then she's starting a new job on Monday, she gets to her new job, and oh my God, it's the guy from the bar. But then she starts to realize that this guy is really controlling, and his wife seems to be really scared of him, and our protagonist becomes friends with his wife. And that's all I'm gonna tell you, because this book is wild. And the twists are just like, what the fuck? But if you've read this book, please agree with me, that last chapter is like, what the fuck? I loved it so much. Just go into this knowing that it's paranormal. This is not real life. This could not happen in real life, but just have fun with it because it's so good. Next book on my list is Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. And I recently just talked about this one in one of my wrap-ups. I guess it was maybe July, but I love this book. Give it 5 stars. It's about local women going missing. No, but seriously, it's about 2 women going missing. First, one woman, then a woman and her daughter go missing. And this book, we get different timelines from the past before the women go missing and present with them trying to figure out, where did this woman go and all of that nonsense. But additionally, the little girl who goes missing comes back in present day, and we're trying to figure out, where have you been the last so many years? You're an adult now. What happened? And the pacing in this book is amazing. The perspectives is what really made it for me, because this author writes each perspective with a different tone of voice, and you can tell that a different character, you can tell when you're reading from a different character. Obviously, a lot of thrillers, you get Bob, Sue, Jan's perspective, but it feels like the same voice. Mary Kubica did a great job of changing up her writing style almost to make you really feel like you're listening to a different character. One of the characters, I just will always remember this, was written in second person. So she was like, you made me feel like this, you did this, why are you making me do? And it's just super creepy to read about, and I loved reading from that perspective. There's nothing special in this book with the twist. Did I guess the twist? No. It's the puzzle pieces in this book and just how neatly everything fit together. This is how a thriller is supposed to be. And it was definitely one of my favorite books of 2021. And I definitely recommend Local Woman Missing. All right, the next book on my list I do not have a copy of because I recently gave it to my friend, and it's called The One by John Mars. And I actually think there's a Netflix series on this now, but I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know anything about that. But what this book is about is there's a DNA test. And if you take this DNA test, they will be able to match you with your soulmate, your perfect match. And we get perspectives from like multiple different characters and people finding their match, who they're supposed to be with. Some of these people are already married. Some of these people might be serial killers. Some of these people might be straight, and then their perfect match is someone of the same sex. So we're getting all these different perspectives, and it's a freaking wild ride. Like, it is phenomenal. The twist at the end, you could literally read this book in one sitting because you're just like, it's one of those, John Mars, all of his books are like, you're like flipping the pages, the chapters are small, different perspectives. It is so fun, so good, and you're just like, wait, I kind of want to take this test, but do I? Definitely read this book. All right, the next book on my list is A Good Marriage by Kimberly McCreight. I read this book probably a year-ish so ago, and it's about a lawyer who is struggling financially. She has a lot of debt, her marriage isn't going well, and she gets a call from an old friend from law school, and he's in jail, and he's saying like, hey, I need you to represent me. And she's like, I don't got time for this, I don't want to do this. And then he's kind of almost blackmailing her because he knows her secrets. He's being accused of killing his wife. We get perspectives from the dead wife, from Lizzie, our protagonist, the lawyer, and I just loved it. I just love this book. It's a slow burn, in my opinion. It's a very slow burn. The twists were fun. I will say, the ending, who done it, I was kind of like, meh, I feel like you picked a name out of a hat, if I'm being honest. But for me, this book is about the journey. It's very character-driven, and I just loved it. And I gave it 5 stars. This book was so good, and I highly recommend it. The next book on my list is The Brightlands by John Fram. And before you start saying, I know this is technically a horror book, but in my opinion, this book is a thriller book. I mean, except for the last 20 pages, which has a horror twist, this book is a thriller. And it is a gay thriller. But because this book is super gay. No, but really, it's really gay. Just warning you, this book is gay, gay, gay. Anyway, to the plot. This book is about a boy who grew up in a conservative Texas town, and he got away. He lives in New York, but he's coming back to town, and his brother goes missing. And we're kind of learning about the town, the dynamics of the town, the history of the town, these weird organizations, and there's a lot of freaking characters in this book, so you might need a notepad, but this is probably one of my favorite book twists. That ending, oh my God, I was taking pictures of the pages to send to my friends who don't read books because, y'all, it is shocking. If you, I'm trying to say how to appropriately say this, but John Fram is just a gay horror, and I cannot wait to see what he comes out with next because I had so much fun. I will definitely be rereading this. Please read this book. It is wild. So the only author on this list who I put 2 books on the list is Riley Sager, and I feel better because I just released a reading vlog for his latest book and just completely destroyed his latest book. So this is showing you that he is my favorite thriller author, and I'm going to talk about 2 of his books. The first one is Lock Every Door, and this book is about a girl who's struggling, just got out of a relationship, she didn't really have any money, and she's asked to go sit in an apartment, house sit for an apartment complex in Upper East Side Manhattan. Everyone who lives in this apartment complex is super rich. There's a lot of history with the apartment complex, but shit is weird at this apartment complex. People disappear. The previous sitters, no one knows where they went. Very eerie. The entire time you're like, am I reading a thriller? Am I reading a horror book? And the twist at the end is wild. This is my second favorite Riley Sager book. I'm gonna show you my first. It goes back and forth because they're so close, but this book is so much fun. If you're looking to start in thrillers, I highly recommend starting with Riley Sager because he is such a good thriller author. All right, the second Riley Sager book I'm gonna talk about is Home Before Dark. This book, we get two different timelines, one from the past, one from the present, and our protagonist, when she was a little girl, she went to the house, and when she was at the house, weird, creepy stuff happened, and her parents fled in the middle of the night. They were just like, we can't be here anymore. And her parents, she always thought, her parents said it was haunted, and her dad wrote a book about how haunted this house was. So throughout the book, we're getting two perspectives. One, from the father's book, the one that he wrote, so we're reading excerpts from the book, and then in the present, when she's going back to the house because her dad died and she inherited the house. And when she's going back to the house, creepy shit's starting to happen. And we're kind of like getting a parallel comparison of like what's happening in the book and what's happening present. And it is phenomenal. Like, this is probably one of my favorite books of all time. I love the eeriness. It's very like, what's that Netflix show? What's it called? The Netflix show, whatever. It's very like haunted house vibes. You don't know, just like Lock of Dirt, you don't know, is this a thriller? Is this a horror? What am I reading? And I will say this book has 4 twists. Like, you're like, oh, that's the ending. Oh, that's the ending. Oh shit, that's the ending. And like, it kept on coming. This book, out of all the books I've ever read, I think this has the most twists at the end. So much fun. Probably one of my favorite, definitely in my top 3 favorite thrillers of all time. All right, the last book I'm gonna talk about today is Defending Jacob by William Landry. I read this book in one day. I woke up in the morning, started it, didn't plan to read it all day, but I woke up at maybe 10 a.m., read it straight through. It's about a 14-year-old boy who gets accused of killing a classmate. His dad's an assistant district attorney, and the dad's struggling with trying to figure out, like, is my son a murderer? And on top of all the mystery and top of all the thrills, we're dealing with a lot of family dynamics, and we're learning into the dad, the accused boy's father's father, and there's like a murder gene element. And while yes, this is a thriller in which made it really good, what really makes this one of my favorite thrillers is kind of the family dynamics tied with the thriller. So it's like almost like, it was like super emotional, but also thrilling, and you don't know who to trust, and the ending is just like, whoa. And like, so good, so good. There is an Apple TV show. The endings are different. So if you have seen the Apple TV show, the ending is different. I just love this book. I don't know what it was about it, but I just devoured it. I felt so connected. This was also written by a lawyer because you can tell that it's just like the courtroom scenes are just so well done and just, it's very realistic. And I just loved it so much. But thank you guys. These are my top thrillers. I know I'm probably missing some. I know that I'm probably did not explain them perfectly, but I just want to give you guys just some examples of what are my favorite thrillers are. If you're looking to delve into thrillers, this is where you should start. But yeah, if you have read any of these, if you disagree or agree, please let me know down below. And if you have any recommendations for me, please let me know. Thank you guys for watching.